So you've worked so hard and you've finally gotten that invitation and you're thrilled. What do you do next? It's so important to after the jubilation, to step back and understand what the interview is all about. Every school has its unique policy about the interview. For some schools, it's really a blind interview where they're going to just basically focus on your resume. And they have interviewers who are either alumni or students. Other schools are going to be delving into every minutia of your application, and the interview often will be by an admissions board member, and they really will, I don't want to say grill you, but they could grill you to get at your story and to make sure that there aren't any inconsistencies and that the brand that you've presented to be you is actually who you are. And the interviews allow them to really vet this issue to make sure you are authentic. And so make sure you know what the school's policy is, who's going to be interviewing you. And then after you've looked at that, it's extremely important to also understand the length of the interview. And because that's important. If you're preparing for an interview that is a 30-minute interview, as is the case for schools like Wharton, then you have to be extremely concise. You've got to prepare and have your responses be not more than a minute and a half, because there are a lot of questions that need to be covered in a 30-minute period. On the other hand, if you're being interviewed by Stanford, for example, there's a very good chance that it's going to be at some cafe or a restaurant or wherever. It's going to be an alumnus interviewing you, and he or she has actually been schooled on your story. And so you might find them asking you something specific, or it might be an alum who has somewhat similar interests. So if you say you're a pianist and you're passionate about Beethoven, and it happens to be an alum who has a classical background, don't be surprised. And the interviews at Stanford can be relatively short or can go for more than 2 hours. And so it's not really just a quick interview back and forth. They're really trying to get to know you in a very relaxed environment to see if you'd fit in their program. So the nature of the school, the brand of the school and what they're looking for is going to influence what kind of an interview you're going to have. So do your research and be prepared. Then obviously there are some basic things you've got to think about. You've got to practice. I think a lot of times people underestimate how important the interviews are. They think, well, I've gotten this far. It's around the corner. I'm going to get to the finish line. Take the time to really practice. And an admissions interview is very different from a job interview. Don't try to orchestrate or influence or try to push the conversation in one way or another. They have their set of questions that they really need to ask you, and give them time to get at those questions. It's important not to ramble, get to the point quickly. Stories are great because facts and figures are fine, but stories really stay in their minds. So tell them a quick story, a quick 1 or 2 anecdotes that you've prepared that's authentic, that comes from the heart. Know your story inside out. It's very important that you revisit your application and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And then finally, make sure that you get a good night's sleep. I can't tell you how many people I hear went to work the morning before their afternoon interview. And of course, as things go, that's the morning that everything blows up at work. And so you're so stressed out and frazzled, and you show up at the interview near hysteria. So it's very important to get a good night's sleep, take a day off, get there early, and just authentically convey who you are. Think of the interview as a conversation. You know your story, you know yourself, and just speak from the heart, and you're going to be in good shape. And for those of you who have gotten interviews, congratulations, and I wish you all the best.